Hey guys, it's Mark from Migraine Professional. Today I really want to have a heart-to-heart with you guys and talk about the dangers of not understanding your partners, your friends, or your family members' migraines. And so I wanted to make this video for a while, and I didn't know how to go about it. So I reached out to the community, and the response I got was just amazing. I feel you. I feel what you're going through, and I really wanted to make this video good and make sure that I could sort of communicate how important it is that you understand your partners or your family members or your friends' migraines and the pain that they're going through, and whatever other chronic illness that they might also have. And so, what's really important to understand is that there's kind of two sides to this puzzle. The two at the top here. So the first part is that when you don't understand what's going on, the person that's going through the problem becomes very isolated. Okay, so they start to feel like they're just a lonely island, like they don't have support, and that makes them close up. It isolates them from everyone else, and it destroys the team that they need support from to be able to get through their illness. And then it becomes a problem of becoming a burden. And so then the person experiencing the migraines or the severe cluster headaches or whatever they are, whatever it may be, they begin feeling like a burden. They feel like they're not worthy. Their sense of self-worth starts to diminish and get lower and lower and lower, and they can actually start becoming angry at themselves and attacking themselves, and this sets the foundation for developing an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease is where your immune system it's attacking its own tissues. So this is a really big problem because you want to make sure that you're raising up your worth, raising up your the value that you have for yourself, and it's crucial that the dream team around the person that's there to support the person is there to kind of give them what they need to feel like they're of value, no matter how productive or not productive they are. That's really, really important. So why do we need to understand this? Really, like I kind of touched on, is because we need to understand how the illness that we're experiencing, these migraines, they are multifactorial, they are multisystemic, they involve the entire mind and body. Everything from our mental to our emotional to our physical to our environmental and lifestyle and dietary and nutritional, and they're all connected and they're all affected and sort of connected together. And our social structure that's there to support us, that's incredibly important for us to be able to and to want to push through our illness, to push through, to get to the other side, to figure out what it is, what are the gears that are turning, that are keeping that migraine going, that are making it come back, that are triggering it, that are keeping that dysfunction going in the brain. And so it's really, really important that you understand that there needs to be a support network there. There needs to be a dream team. So no dream can be achieved alone. There's always a team there, a support network that needs to support that person. Otherwise, they basically become like a sick animal. What do sick animals do? They go off into the forest and they die. And that's the last thing we want. So we want to make sure that we're supported, that we're supporting the person that's going through this, and that if we are the person experiencing the migraines, we are there to communicate that we need support in these ways. We need support like this and like that, and I'll go into depth a little bit later about what to do about it, how to go into it. So the next part is how this happens. So how does this break in understanding happen? And so I have a couple points that I kind of wanted to touch on. So the first one is that they won't believe. They're sort of not believed by the people around them. that what they're going through is as painful as it is, as incapacitating as it is. They think that they're making excuses, or that they're lazy, or that they just want to take medications, they're addicted to medications, or that they're sort of making that it's all up in their head, that it's just their personality that's creating it. And that's simply not true. And what happens when you sort of don't believe the person and what they're going through is that you develop this disconnect in trust. And trust is the most important foundational factor for relationships. So when you don't have trust, the person will isolate themselves from you. They don't want to deal with you. I mean, at first, maybe they have to because they depend on you, but over time, they will find a way to completely isolate themselves from you, to not have to deal with you, and to basically distance themselves from you. And this is the last thing we want, because we have to feel supported if we're going to get through a chronic illness, if we're going to get through a disease, if we're going to sort of take the necessary steps to recover our body, recover our brain. We have to make sure that we're supported, and that we're supporting the person that's going through this. The next part is that it's really not enough to take a painkiller if you have severe migraines. A painkiller will just stop the pain, but it's a very complex neurological, systemic, sort of body-wide illness. And when it gets triggered, the entire body goes into this almost like a spasm. It's almost like, you can think of it, migraines are very closely related to epilepsy and seizures. It's almost like a seizure. The whole body is going through this process, trying to recover from this damage that is going on in the brain. And so even though it doesn't look like a seizure, the entire body is going through this very, very difficult process. So the amount of brain fog and fatigue and depression or hysteria, or all these different emotions and feelings and thoughts are sort of going through the body. And so it's important to understand that it's not as simple as taking a painkiller. That usually doesn't fix it. It might just help us feel okay, but it doesn't make us able to sort of function and get on with our life, and especially not go back to work right away, at least. So the next one is that not looking sick is not the same thing as not being sick. And it's incredibly important to understand that there's so many invisible illnesses, and so many illnesses that don't show up on the surface level. And so just because someone looks okay, or they look like they're alive and they're breathing, does not mean that what is going on inside is okay. They do not sort of equate to the same thing. And just because someone looks like they're whatever, blinking and breathing and they can drink water, that does not mean that they're functioning. That does not mean that they can process. That does not mean that they can do things. So you really have to be there. You have to support them, and we'll kind of go into that. And so then the next thing, really common, that a headache does not equal a migraine. So a headache is just a very, very it's almost like a base level headache is a very low level of the migraine mechanism. It is nothing what the actual migraine is like. Once you cross a certain point into that migraine, you're getting systemic body-wide effects. It's affecting your mental, emotional, and your physical. Your whole body is going through this process, and everything is affected by it. So it's very different than just having a headache, where you might have a dull pain or a throbbing pain, or just a sort of pain in your head. It's a very different thing. And the next one is sort of just judgment. The last thing that we want, especially when we're going through a migraine, is to feel like we are being judged, to feel like someone is being critical about us, to feel like someone is making judgments about our personality and who we are, and sort of thinking that we are creating this because of our personality, especially if the person may be anxious, an anxious person, or a very sort of high-strung person, it does not mean that they're creating the migraine and that the migraines are their fault. So it's really important to kind of take that tension off of them. And of course, like I talked about, addicted to meds. It's a complicated system and a complicated disease, and being addicted to meds is one of the last things that we want, and it's usually not the case. Usually the pain is just so bad, you need medication. You need something to make it stop. There's a reason they're called suicide headaches, because the pain can be so incredible that you eventually suicide. So cluster headaches and migraines, they're associated with a higher risk of suicide because of how severe they can be and how sort of overwhelming they can be, and how they can take over your entire life and sort of reduce it to nothing. So this is exactly why we need to feel supported. So the next thing I kind of wanted to touch on is what to do. So first, foremost, the most important thing you want to do is you want to just listen to the person. You just want to listen. You want to be there. You don't want to impose yourself. You don't want to try and even though the first instinct, especially for guys, is to try and fix it, try and fix the problem, but you don't want to do that when a migraine is going on. You just want to be there for them. You just want to listen. You want to connect. You want to connect to the pain, connect to what the experience that they're going through. Even if you haven't felt that pain, sort of connect to something that may sort of bridge the gap between you and them to help them feel like they're more understood. Like they're like you know kind of what they're going through and you're there for them. Even though no matter what's happening, that you're there for them. And then the next one is their needs. So always, first thing you do is you ask what they need. They are not in a place to function, to take care of you. They're not in a caregiving role at this point. They need the care. They need the support. So the first thing you do is you ask them, what do they need? Whether that just be some water or a cold towel or some shade, some darkness, or a bucket to throw up, and whatever it may be, just ask them what they need, how you can help them. And then the next thing is to just feel their pain, to feel it and to understand it, to see it from their side of the conversation, and to not necessarily impose your ideas, because you're just going to hit a wall. It's not doing anything. It's making them feel like a burden. It's making them feel isolated, and it's stopping that understanding. It's making them want to just kind of distance themselves from you, and it's making them not feel supported. So you just want to kind of feel what they're going through and see your situation from their point of view. And then obviously the next one, ease their worry. So it's really simple. You just want to take because when this happens, it's not our fault, and it's the last thing that we want. So all of these thoughts and emotions come around that make us feel like we're not adequate, we're not doing what we should be doing. So we develop a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression and a lot of anger at ourselves. So you just want to ease that. You just want to take that off. You want to give them the space to take the time for them to heal. So you just want to, tell them that it's going to be okay. You're going to take care of everything. You're going to deal with all the responsibilities that have to be dealt with at this time, that they can just take a break, rest, relax, just take the time that they need to feel better, to heal. And then once they're feeling good again, they can pick back up. So it's really important to kind of understand these. And then, of course, the last one is that it's not a simple solution. Migraines and headaches, they're not a simple solution. In some people, they can be, but especially in complex, chronic, and severe cases, it's not a simple solution that's as easy as maybe taking an Advil, taking an Excedrin, whatever it may be. It's not a simple solution. So you have to be there, you have to understand, and you have to kind of take any judgment off them, especially while they're going through that. And then maybe once they've come out of it, you can kind of help work through it and help support them in a way that they need support, because everyone needs support differently. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this video and kind of what I'm trying to communicate. And I hope that we can kind of bridge that understanding between people who suffer from migraines and severe headaches, and people who are kind of left wondering what's going on and there. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what helps you feel understood, and sort of, or what helps you understand what the person with migraines is going through. Thanks. Hey, it's Mark from Migraine Professional. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe in the bottom left corner so that others can find this information as well. If you want to learn more about migraines than you've ever known before and how to deal with them, make sure to go to our website. Thanks.